Hi, it's Ann. And I'm wondering, have you been riding a roller coaster of feelings these days? Like I have? Oh my gosh, I've gone through anxiety, dread, sadness, gratitude, annoyance, and that's just today. And one of the sneaky ones is this feeling of guilt that I get sometimes. I'm doing so much better than a lot of people. I have a home, I can work, I have somebody to hug every day. I'm definitely grateful for that. But sometimes I also feel guilty. Do you? And what do you do when that happens? Well, I wanted to tell you today about Christy, who's a mom and a professional who's able to work from home. She has a busy life. For her self-care, she tunes in every morning to how she feels, which I think is a great idea, by the way. And one day last week, Christy realized that she was feeling guilty. And I think it's very interesting what her first response was. It was, "Oh great, that again? Really? What are you feeling guilty about this time?" So in other words, she automatically responded to her own feeling with a kind of contemptuous dismissal. "Oh really, that again?" And then she noticed what she'd just done. And she paused. She took a deep breath. She said to herself, "Now let's try this again." You know, I love it that we can do that. When we realize we're not treating ourselves with respect and caring, we can back up and do it over. So nice. Now, Christy could have tried to talk herself out of feeling guilty. She could have said to herself, "You don't have to feel guilty. It's okay to have a good life. It's not your fault." I know a lot of people who would have tried to talk themselves out of their feelings, including me many years ago. And how many times does that actually work? I'd say just about 0. Yeah, luckily, that's not what Christy did. Instead, she paused and acknowledged how she felt. "I'm sensing something in me is feeling guilty." The purpose of that somewhat odd language is that it lets you turn toward how you're feeling with curiosity instead of with dismissal, and instead of trying to talk yourself out of the feeling. Curiosity is so powerful because it puts you into a stance of, "I hear that's how you feel, and I'm curious to know more." Curiosity opens the doors of empathy, and empathy opens the doors for new possibilities to emerge. When you're curious, you're sitting in the creative unknown. You're saying that you don't already know, and you're open to finding out. And when you bring this kind of open, empathic curiosity inside yourself, your feelings can evolve. You know, emotions naturally change. They're meant to. That's why they're called emotion. And when emotions don't change, or when they keep coming back, it's because they're coming up against some kind of wall. They aren't being met. They aren't being heard. So when you hear your emotions and you're curious, those emotions can and do evolve into the next emotion, whatever that is. It can't be predicted, but once it happens, it makes sense. So Christy acknowledged her feelings of guilt by saying, "I'm sensing something in me is feeling guilty." And then she turned toward the something feeling guilty with curiosity. She felt it in her body. She put a gentle hand there and said, "Hello, I'm listening." And she waited, and slowly a sense of what it was about began to emerge. It wasn't easy to put into words at first, so she gave it time. And she began to get images of her children, in particular, the 6-year-old, the day before, inconsolable over not being able to see her friends. Christy had tried to offer ideas and comfort, but she'd felt so helpless, so powerless to ease the painful circumstances of her own daughter. And as she recalled all this, she realized that there was a part of her that believed a good mother should always be able to protect her children from the sorrows of life. It wasn't logical, and it wasn't new, but during these stressful times, it had come to the fore again. And again, Christy didn't try to argue with this part of her. She simply heard it with compassion. "Ah," she said inside, "you've been thinking you had to protect Sophia from everything that hurts her. I know it's hard when you can't." Ah, self-compassion in action. Hey, and the feeling eased. Yeah, it did. That's the magic of being acknowledged and heard. So I'll just go over again what it was that Christy did and that you can do if this happens for you. She caught herself dismissing her emotion of guilt by saying, "Oh, really, that again?" And she paused, and then she acknowledged the feeling instead of dismissing it by saying, "I'm sensing something in me is feeling guilty." And then she turned toward the something in her that was feeling guilty with interested curiosity. And when that part of her revealed what was under the guilty feeling, Christy simply acknowledged and heard that as well. You know, it's so natural for feelings to arise as we go through life. Feelings do what they are supposed to do. They point us to what's important to us and to what needs our attention. And our job is to bring awareness to them and to acknowledge and listen to them, and then nothing stays stuck. And when you acknowledge what you feel, then you get to be calm. I love it. Do you want even more support in trying steps like these? I'd love to have you sign up for my weekly email newsletter. The link to it is below. And then I can give you even more support and helpful tips like this one that can make a huge difference for you. And here's to you having a more peaceful life